Hey, what's up guys? Little man with a big opinion here. Today's video is going to be my updated video on how much ammo you should have. I think this is the third time I've done a video like this, and each time there's typically about a year and a half in between making these videos, and that's because, well, the very first one probably wasn't a great video because that was 5 or 6 years ago, and then the last one, it's still, a lot of the information is still important. It makes sense. But I think as I get older, learn a few new things, I need to update my thoughts on it. And there's a lot of other channels and other people out there that share some of my opinions on this, go a different route than myself, or they fall somewhere in between. So, that being said, let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts on this subject are. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And then do all of the other things, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and family. One aspect of thinking on this is, I still do the prepping stuff, but I think there is a very strong importance in, kind of being a Minuteman. And those videos have been very, very popular recently. And, there's tons of information going out about those. So here are my thoughts on that part of it. You should definitely have some sort of main rifle that if Red Dawn happened, that's gonna, and you had to jump in your vehicle in 5 minutes to escape your town. At a bare minimum, that's the one that you're grabbing, and you've got a kit set up for that rifle. And doesn't matter if you have 3 other guns or 20 other guns, you feel confident grabbing that one that you can, go protect yourself and your family. The political unrest, people like to use the word civil war. Maybe you've got a little bit more time on that and you can grab multiple different things. The thought process on this really leans towards having an AR-15. And the thought process is, a mix between getting in firefights versus, doing recon kind of stuff. And it doesn't matter what happens, you're immediately trying to disengage and, get out of that situation. And it really doesn't matter if you're doing this by yourself, you got 2 or 3 other people, or you've got, a mag of 50 plus people. That being said, I've heard a lot of people talk about the 1,000 rounds, and I think that's a great milestone to hit for that main rifle that you plan on using. If your main rifle is going to be 308, 1,000 rounds. It's going to be 300 blackout, 1,000 rounds. 5.56, whatever you're planning on going for, 1,000's a nice even number. Now, I wouldn't say you should make your main rifle a 338 Lapua because 1,000 rounds, even buying it in bulk is probably going to cost you $5 or $6 grand. But I would push it further past the 1,000 because the right answer is all of the ammos. You should never stop purchasing ammo because you are also supposed to be constantly training and practicing with that rifle. We recently purchased 5 or 6 steel targets, and when we went out, it's very satisfying to hear that, impact on the steel target. And the furthest we were away was about 115 yards because That's the distance of the area that we have, or at least where we were set up in our area. And we're working on longer distance stuff, but training is also super important. So it's not just hitting that 1,000 round milestone and you're good to go. Because at a bare minimum, it'd be nice to get out once a month, run a couple mags through that firearm, and that way you can keep up with your skill proficiency. But you can't just talk about the amount of rounds that you should have without talking about the magazines to feed your firearm. So it doesn't matter if you go out and get 100,000 rounds for your gun. If you have 5 of these, you're able to run 150 rounds at a time, and then you're having to sit there and reload. So I guess the point that I'm getting to, and it's kind of my update for this video, is don't just focus on the ammo. I got up to 10 of these magazines, and the way that I did it was I waited till it was in the prepping budget to buy one 30-round magazine and at least 3 boxes of ammo. Because then the next time I'd go buy another magazine, and then I'd go ahead and load both of them up. That way I could keep them loaded and we're ready to go. And so it balanced back and forth between ammo this time, magazines this time, and then every once in a while pick up a 20-round box, and that gets set into the category for practice and training. Once you feel like you have a sufficient number of magazines, that's when you can up your game with your ammo purchases. So main rifle, I'd say at least 1,000 rounds, because if you set your chest rig or plate carrier up the way I think you should, you're carrying 6 magazines plus the one in the gun, and that's your bare minimum there. And then you work on having spares that you keep at the top of your pack or in a side pouch or something. But the 1,000 rounds means you roughly have 4 fully engaged firefights where you're going to blow through every round that you got. Then you can kind of dial it back and focus on the other preps, like going out and getting your beans, or going out, they fell off the desk, but picking up your bandages. I like to call it your beans, bullets, and bandages. So you're not just focusing on the ammo side of it either. If you're going to carry a secondary, which I think you should, and the way this thought process is set up is you've got a holster on some sort of battle belt, if it came to doing that, because you got your primary and your secondary. But most of the places you're going to go in life, you're not going to be able to carry your AR in with you all the time. That's where your secondary comes into place. Depending on your state, you go out, you get your license to carry your concealed handgun, or if you're in a constitutionalist state, whatever the case may be, follow your laws. But for your secondary, in a lot of ways, you're going to be carrying that almost 24/7. And for that one, the 2 ways you can think of it is, depending on your situation, you're going to solve your problem with your handgun. Or, depending on the situation, it is going to be what assists you to getting to your primary, because hopefully you can keep it in your vehicle, or depending on how close to your home you are, it is to assist you as your secondary to get back to your primary. So you should, again, have plenty of ammunition for it, because if that's what you're going to be using most of the time, then you should also have 1,000 rounds for it. Now, this isn't a debate between 9mm or 45 or carrying a revolver or a judge or something like that. So it's up to you. 9mm ammo is going to be cheaper than 45. And so, figure out what works best. Same thing with your main rifle. You build up the ammunition that you need. You sprinkle in magazines. You hit that base point, and now you can kind of slow down and focus on other preps. Like, it doesn't matter if you have 100 of these magazines and 10,000 rounds. If it's the middle of winter and you don't have a lighter, then this isn't going to keep you warm. So you need to spread your wealth and focus on other preps. And then, going through the rest of the stuff, it's a good idea to have some sort of shotgun to help with hunting, and in some cases it might be better for home defense. And I don't think you need 1,000 rounds, but set your goal, do what you need to do to meet that goal. If you're going to have some sort of precision rifle or a hunting rifle, let's say it's a 243, and that's one of your main options for providing food. You don't want to just have one 20-round box. I don't think you need upwards of 1,000, but depending on how you're prepping, you might be prepping to where society completely collapses, and that's how you're going to feed your family for the foreseeable future until some sort of civilization comes back. You might want 750 rounds for that rifle. Because I know when we get ready for deer season, we go through 10-15 rounds just to make sure that where the crosshairs are on the rifle, when we pull the trigger, that's exactly where the bullet's going. And we do that because sometimes where we hunt, it's 100+ yard shot. The closest distance that we've shot a deer is like 30 yards. And so you need to make adjustments. The gun's been taken in and out of your safe a couple times. The sight's been bumped. So, you're just verifying. So you take into consideration the ammo you do, or the ammo you use to maintain the accuracy, and then the ammo you use to shoot the wildlife that you're going to consume. And depending on where you're at, you might only use 4 or 5 bullets for that season. You might only use 1, or you're going to tag out, go to a different area, tag out, and so it depends on your area and how much ammo you think you need for that. But on the low end, I would say if you're going to use 5 rounds to sight the rifle in, you're going to use 2 rounds a season to get your deer, or hog, or elk, or whatever. Multiply that by your lifetime. That's your bare minimum. If you're not just going to use it for the hunting side, come on, walk forward so I can dump you on the ground. If you're also planning on using it as a self-defense, because in a lot of cases it's a lot better to deal with a target 300, 400, 500+ yards away than having to deal with them at 100 or less. If you can deal with a threat before it gets that close, awesome. If that's the case, then you need to take into consideration the other things I've said, and you might want to have 1,000+ rounds. In some of these cases, you can kind of double dip. I've seen a lot of people drop deer with like the 72 or 77 grain 5.56, and so if you're going to do that, maybe you buy an AR, you buy 2 different uppers. One's more geared towards the hunting side and one's more geared towards the self-defense side, and you're saving a little bit of money doing it that way, and everything else is fun. So the Minuteman side of this is you've got a primary, a secondary, a shotgun, and you throw in something for long range marksmanship, precision shot, whatever you want to call it. And then the Minuteman side of this, you don't have to buy any other guns. You spend the rest of your time on ammo, mags, training. The Second Amendment side of me says, if you want to own, or if you want to buy a gun every 6 months or every month, go for it. The other prepping side of me says the more the merrier. The bonus gun for this is getting a 10-22 or a Marlin or a Henry lever action 20, something chambered in 22, because even with inflation, that ammo is still very, very cheap, and you can put a lot of ammo away very quickly for that. And in the SHTF situation, if you're dealing with someone else, or even in the Minuteman situation, putting rounds downfield is a lot more important than having a bigger caliber that you're taking out targets, because most people, SHTF side of things, want to solve their problems in the safest way possible. So if you're dumping a bunch of 22 rounds at them, they're going to go look for an easier target. The Minuteman side of thinking says suppression by volume. You're going to keep that person or group pinned down long enough that someone else can do a flanking maneuver, or again, they might try to come at it at a different angle. If you've got them pinned down, you've got eyes on them the whole time, and at some point someone's going to have to make a move, and you're in a better position to deal with that situation. So the 22 is the bonus for everything, and it can be effective in self-defense. It can be effective in a Minuteman situation, but really the go-to, in my opinion, should be some sort of AR platform firearm. And then I would say, depending on your prepping budget, you've hit these ammo numbers, you're still spending money so that you can train, so you can keep your skill level up. You're doing well with putting away your food and water and medical supplies, and you hit checkpoints in that category, then you can really turn the gas on the amount of ammo you put away. Because at some point, the larger stockpile of ammo, in conjunction with having friends and family that are thinking the similar way that you do, the problem, crap hits the fan, and you've got your 5 family members and 4 or 5 close friends. No one's going to care that little Johnny only put away 1,500 AR rounds and Tim over here put away 2,500. As far as they're concerned, you're both using it to defend yourself, to go out and try to hunt for food, that sort of thing. it kind of gets grouped together. So if it's within your, MAG or mutual assistance group, you're not really going to be upset that someone else didn't pitch in quite as much as you did. It's a different story when random people start to show up and, they're looking for help and you've got to decide, how you're going to handle that situation. But if all of you are like-minded, then all of you have had the discussion of, hey, this is what I'm spending on this at this month. I'm putting away this much. This is what I can spend, because not everyone in your group's all going to make the same amount of money. And so you can discuss it before the problem happens of, hey, you talked with little Johnny and he hasn't been spending money on preps. You're able to figure out what's going on because, yeah, the economy sucks. He might have to focus on his bills for several months while, Tim over here is, picking up his slack. And, you're not picking it up in a mean way, but you're communicating and setting expectations and, everyone hits bumps in the road. But the moral of this whole video, because it's over 20 minutes and I don't want to keep it going too much longer, is main rifle, 1,000 rounds. Sidearm, 1,000 rounds. If you're going to double dip a precision rifle for hunting or long distance shots, hit the 1,000 rounds as well. Once you hit that benchmark, keep purchasing ammo. You can do it at a slower pace. And also focus on purchasing ammo that you can keep training with. And, the big thing is if you're doing this, you're probably being better prepared than 90% of Americans. But, as a warning, don't just focus on the, guns and ammo side, because you can't eat your bullets, and you really don't want to be stuck in that situation where you're going hunting for a deer, and if you don't shoot a deer that day, your family, your friends, your mag are not going to eat that day. So keep that nice balance going. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll say it again, like, subscribe, share the videos with your friends and family. And with that, catch you in the next one.